This is Debbie Chapman, the incumbent councillor for Ward 9 in Kitchener. At the recent All Candidates debate, she made some pretty outrageous and out of touch claims about the current housing crisis. I'll just let you listen to what she said in her own words.
Thank you. And I would agree housing is the biggest concern here. We often hear that supply and demand is going to bring housing affordability to us. And I would argue the contrary. There's no place in the country, Vancouver, Toronto, or any big city where we see more demand bringing down prices. And furthermore, it's a known fact that 25% of housing stock in this country is owned by investors. There was an article in the Record just recently that pointed out that 2/3 of the Garment Street building, the tower, a relatively new tower, is 2/3 of the building is unoccupied. If it were really a supply and a demand issue, every one of those units would be occupied.
She's trying to get you to believe two things. The first is that somehow the economic law of supply and demand has absolutely no impact on housing prices. She wants you to believe that even though there's not enough houses, that a whole bunch of people wanting to buy them is not going to have any effect on the prices by people trying to outbid each other for that limited supply. The second thing that Debbie is trying to feed you is that there are all these investors out there who are buying up the condos and keeping them empty and not letting a single person rent them. She even tries to use the example of the Garment Tower condos to support her claim, but she gets that completely wrong. What's happened there is that there are 3 towers, and the last one has had significant construction problems, leading to delays when people can move in. At this point, only 1/3 of the units have been opened for move-in, and the other 2/3 are still being worked on, so nobody can move into them yet. So there's no conspiracy here about investors trying to hold apartments empty like she claims there is. It's a perfect example of motivated reasoning. Debbie and the people who vote for her don't want density in Ward 9, even though they'll tell you they're fine with it anywhere else in the city, just as long as it doesn't affect them. So she concocts this idea that the economic law of supply and demand doesn't affect housing prices, and she'll buy into the conspiracy theory that investors are holding units empty so people can't move into them. That's the only way she can make herself feel good about voting against housing like her record on council shows. Nobody likes to think of themselves as the villain, and Debbie Chapman's positions are something that I often agree with, but not in this case. Here, she's completely out the window. In trying to get the votes of the anti-density classic NIMBYs in Ward 9 so she can get elected, she's become a classic anti-density NIMBY herself. And that just makes it more difficult for those of us who want to make things better for everybody else by solving the housing crisis.